Hey everybody, it's Rod Giltaca from the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. Thanks for joining me. Very exciting video coming up. We're going to do an interview with Maxime Bernier and talk about his firearm platform. A couple of things before we get started, very important. The CCFR is not a lobbying organization. What we are is the public relations arm of the Canadian firearms community. We are an education organization, meaning we educate the media, we educate government, and we educate non-gun owning Canadians about private firearm ownership, and we represent the firearms community in a positive light. So that's really what our purview is. Now, how did this come about? Mr. Bernier's campaign contacted us and said, would you guys like to sit down, do an interview with Max, and talk about his firearm platform and what it can do for the lives of Canadian gun owners? And of course, the CCFR was not going to turn that down. I certainly wasn't going to turn it down, and that's how we got here. So if there's any other candidates out there that want to sit down and have a similar discussion with us, our door is always open. We always welcome a conversation about firearms with anyone from any political party. So I'd like to see a lot more of this. But anyway, we had a great chat with Max. His platform is very exciting for gun owners, and I really hope you enjoy it. Make sure you comment and make sure you share this video. Good morning, Max. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming down. Appreciate you taking the time. I think a lot of gun owners are really excited about your platform. And it's going to make a really big difference in the lives of law-abiding gun owners in Canada, especially those that really understand the regulation the way it is today and the changes that your platform are going to make to it. So I think that's why a lot of people are excited. So I just want to chat with you a little bit about it. So we'll get started.
I'm excited also.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get started with the RCMP getting out of the classification business.
That was the decision when I was looking at the file, and people told me, because as you know, I'm not a gun owner, I'm not a hunter, but I'm a politician and I was in the private sector before, and I want to have legislation that would be fair. When people explain me that the RCMP are making the law, the regulation, and enforcing it, it is against the division of power in our country. So that must be us, politicians, the parliament, we will make the law, and the RCMP, they will be in charge to enforce it. So that's why our gun platform, our gun policy will be in a legislation, not in a regulation, in a legislation. The member of parliament will vote for that, and after that, the RCMP, they will have the job to enforce it. That's the basis of our democracy and the division of power. So for me, that was a simple proposal to do.
Basic democratic principles. Yeah. I don't know how we got so far away from where we were, but hopefully...
Shame on us.
Yeah, hopefully we can fix it. Now, in your platform, you've advocated for changing the license expiry from 5 to 10 years. Was this something that people were asking for? Or?
Yeah, they were asking for that because, as you know, we have a passport for 10 years now. And if something happened, that person, the gun owner, will be a criminal. So I want to be sure that they will have 10 years and they will have time to renew their permit and their license. So for me, it is normal to do that. Other Canadians are having 10 years passport, so why not a gun owner?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'll support what you're saying, actually, because I'm familiar with how the system works. The majority of issues that come up with law-abiding gun owners, they come from the CPIC check that happens every day, which is called continuous eligibility screening, and they come from safety concerns that people call in. Neither of those have anything to do with renewing licenses, so I think it's a great move.
Thank you.
Concerning the simplified classification system that you plan to adopt, and I want to make sure I get this right, it's a system that was adopted as a Conservative Party policy declaration. I had to look that up. I think it's a great next step benefit for gun owners, and it's going to make a real difference in the lives of gun owners. It's a policy that either something is a certain classification or it isn't, and it's very simple to follow. Why did you think that this was a really important thing to have in your platform?
Because I want to abolish all the discretion right now. The RCMP, they have all the discretion, and I think must be us politicians who has to decide about the three categories, restricted, non-restricted, and prohibited. And it will be simple, and you won't need a law degree to know your obligation under the law. You will only need a tape measure, and that's it. You'll know in which category your gun will follow. So simple, efficient, and everybody will understand. So when you're making law, The goal is that the population, they have to understand their obligation under the law. And like that, every gun owners, every Canadians will understand, and it would be simple, but also efficient.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Law-abiding gun owners have been treated terribly over the past 20 plus years. I think this is the reason why a lot of gun owners believe that anything less than a total repeal of the Firearms Act is just not enough. Why didn't you go further than you did?
Because I can assure you that that policy will become a law under a Bernier government. And I'm sure that I will be able to deliver that. That's important for me. And that's the biggest concern of the gun owner. And after all the consultation, I think it's a big first step, but it is a first step that we can implement. And my role will be as a politician to convince the population that this legislation is the right one. And I'm 100%, I can tell you that today I'm 100%, I will be able to do that. And maybe if there's something else that we can add, we'll know after in maybe a second step. But my goal is to have a first 7 step that will be a bold policy, and that step will be, I will be able as a politician to explain that to Canadians.
So what you're telling me, and you're telling everybody right now, is that you are making a clear commitment to implementing the things in your platform, all those measures, the reforms in your platform, should you end up in the Prime Minister's office a few years from now.
Yes, the goal is my platform, not only on gun, but all the other subjects. I want that to be the platform of the Conservative Party of Canada, and we will win with that platform because it's a platform based on 4 principles that Canadians like and Conservative likes: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And that platform will be the agenda of a Conservative government, and that will be part of the agenda.
So if you were able to implement everything in your firearms platform and there was no detrimental effect on public safety, would you consider other common sense reforms?
For sure, for sure. But my proposal today, I want to be clear and that everybody will understand. This is a platform, this is what I will deliver, and if people have other ideas, I'll be open to that. But first, let's do that first step. And yes, after that, we'll see if we can improve a little bit more.
Gun owners will not get all the reforms that they need if the Conservative Party, and in this discussion led by you, if you don't achieve a majority government. And so there's a lot of other mainstream voters in the Conservative, on the Conservative side of the political spectrum that aren't gun owners.
Like me, like myself.
Yeah. And we also, we don't want to scare them away with a platform that's too extreme, too much, too fast. And that's important because we won't get the change that we need unless there's a majority government to push that change forward. Now, speaking of not wanting to lose votes of other, let's say, non-gun owning Conservatives, the elimination of the magazine capacity limit. This is a pretty emotional regulation. It has, I mean, I can tell you categorically, it has no effect on public safety, no relationship with public safety, but it's going to be a little bit of a tough one. How are we going to make this change and not scare off other mainstream Conservatives?
First of all, let's have the debate. We never had a real debate about that. So because the reform will be in a legislation, we'll have a committee hearings in Ottawa. And yes, we'll have people that will come and speak against that and for it. And we'll take a couple of weeks to do the hearings and listen to Canadians. But at the end, my goal and the goal of the Conservative Party of Canada will be to explain that to Canadians, but with your help and the help of some expert. So we'll do what we have to do. And I think we'll be successful to explain that to Canadians. I like really Margaret Thatcher as a politician. She was a principled politician, and she didn't do any compromise with our principle. So that's a principled policy based on fairness and personal responsibility, and I won't do any compromise with my and these principles. So what we will do, we'll have a hearing, we'll listen to Canadians, and we'll explain that. And that proposal will be adopted in the legislation. And you know, I have a lot of reform in my platform that are, I want to abolish corporate welfare. So some corporations, they're not happy with that. I want to abolish the cartel on supply management in my platform. I won't please that special interest group, but I think it's the best thing to do for our country. And at the end, if you look at our platform, including the gun policy, it's all about more freedom, less government, and like that you'll have more prosperity.
And a fact-based approach.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
the facts, I mean, I live this stuff every day, and the facts don't support about 90% of our regulations. So I think the challenge for us is to educate everyday Canadians. Don't be afraid of law-abiding gun owners that have firearms licenses and shoot at the range, you know, having standard capacity magazines.
And I can add about that. As you know, we abolished the long gun registry, and I was one of the spokesperson for the government at that time in Quebec in French. And you know that in big cities it is not so popular, but we were successful, and we had the population on our side in Quebec, and we were successful to do that. And I want to do the same thing. Let's be out there and speak about our policy and explain that to Canadians, and we'll be successful because we have the right ideas.
All in all, I think your firearm platform will make a huge difference for gun owners in their lives and you know, in their pursuits of the things that they love to do. Why did you decide to take such an aggressive position on firearm reform rather than something a little safer, maybe like other candidates did?
Because that's the right reform. You know, if you want a reform that will be simple, that everybody will understand, that was the most important for me. Every Canadian must be able to understand the reform. I have to explain that to Canadians. So when you need only a tape measure to know in which category a gun will go, it's simple, efficient, and you know, that's not the first reform that maybe at the first step look difficult to explain to Canadians. I think we have the best one. We must be out there and to explain that to the population, and at the end we'll win.
So Max, that all sounds great. If there are people out there that want to vote for you in the candidate race, how would they do that?
First, they have to become a member of the Conservative Party of Canada. They can go on my website, maximebernier.com. They click the button membership. They will have to pay $15. They will receive a membership for a year, but they have to do that before the end of March, before the 28th of March. So, and I hope that they will support me as the leader. And if they want to know more detail about that policy, it is on my website. And I want to work with you and with the gun community to be sure that this policy will be enforced when we'll be in government. So I count on you, and I hope I'll have a lot of support, not only for the gun community, but for all Canadians on the big ideas that we're having and the platform that we're having based on freedom and personal responsibility.
Well, sounds great. Best of luck.
Merci.
Thank you,
Thank you
Max.
very much.